Trump's Oval Office address, America is on the comeback. We're there for all intents. Bongino, yesterday our headline was resigned with a question mark. Today it's resigned with an exclamation point. He's out. And the Rolling Stones tour, speaking of being out for 2026, they've canceled it. Could this be the end? We'll talk about that. Welcome to the Jay Sheldon Show. That would be this guy. Thank you for being here, whether you're watching us live across 3 platforms now. We're experimenting on YouTube. We're also, of course, on X and on Rumble, our main base. And yes, indeed, thank you for popping by. We appreciate it. If you haven't yet subscribed, that's all we ask of you. It's free. Hit the subscribe or follow button, whatever it is on whatever platform you're watching. We really appreciate that. You want to give us an extra bonus? Give us the thumbs up. That's helpful too. We appreciate it. All right. Yeah. Good morning, Danny. Good morning, Marilyn. Hello to both of you guys. And if you are watching on video delay, hello to you, wherever you may be across the U.S. or anywhere on the planet, really. We've got viewers and listeners around. This show's also a podcast, by the way. If you just want to hear the audio part of the show, you can do that. Just go to Spotify, Apple iTunes, any podcast platform. We're on most of them. And check for the Jay Sheldon Show. Hit that subscribe button and you are good to go. All right. Last night, President Trump spoke from the White House. Honestly, it was not what I was expecting at all. I thought, like a lot of news media outlets, it had been leaked to them. Some say Trump actually set up that leak to see where his little leaking faucets were. But I thought possibly war with Venezuela. I was hoping and praying it would be a giant speech about disclosure of non-human intelligence and aliens. Will that ever happen? Honestly, at this point, I don't know. I hope so. I pray, but I kind of doubt it. But he did talk big time about the economy, energy, foreign affairs, a whole lot more. This address to the nation just a week before Christmas. And the President and War Secretary Pete Hegseth, along with First Lady Melania Trump, attended a formal dignified transfer ceremony at Dover Air Force Base. And then just before leaving Dover, Trump gave a teaser on the message of last night's address. He also shared a reminder on the speech tonight as he returned to the White House, said, "We'll see you tonight." Earlier in the day, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt hinted about the speech covering Trump's 47 historic accomplishments on the border, inflation, what's to come, and another hopeful major move Wednesday. Republicans in the U.S. House passed a health care plan, which now moves on to the Senate for consideration. But his main message last night was amazing.
Putting America first, and we are making America great again. Very simple. We are making America great again. Tonight, after 11 months, our border is secure. Inflation is stopped. Wages are up. Prices are down. Our nation is strong. America is respected. And our country is back, stronger than ever before. We're poised for an economic boom, the likes of which the world has never seen. Soon we will host the World Cup and the Olympics, both of which I got. But most importantly, we will celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. There could be no more fitting tribute to this epic milestone than to complete the comeback of America that began just 1 year ago. When the world looks at us next year, let them see a nation that is loyal to its citizens, faithful to its workers, confident to its identity, certain to its destiny, and the envy of the entire globe.
And the envy of the entire globe. You got it, Mr. President. Fantastic. That's not the only thing he talked about. He also mentioned a fantastic idea In honor of our nation's founding in 1776, they are sending every soldier in the U.S. military $1,776 as a thank you for their service. How about that?
1,450,000 military service members will receive a special, we call Warrior Dividend before Christmas, a Warrior Dividend. In honor of our nation's founding in 1776, we are sending every soldier $1,776. Think of that. And the checks are already on the way. Nobody understood that one until about 30 minutes ago. We made a lot more money than anybody thought because of tariffs, and the bill helped us along. Nobody deserves it more than our military, and I say congratulations to everybody.
Absolutely, congratulations. What a fantastic idea. Brilliant. Brilliant. There was some positive moves ahead of Trump's address to America. Relates to this high confidence in the U.S. economy from the very people who often grow it through investments, hiring. Axios reporting Wednesday, and they're not exactly pro-Trump people over there, the results from two recent polls of execs and investors, both showing they are bullish on where we're headed. How about that? Investors' optimism is at the highest level since August of 2021. That is amazing. On the economy, that's according to a Bank of America survey of more than 200 fund managers. Wow. One of the major points President Trump made in his speech, which lasted just under 30 minutes, it was a relatively short speech. It's on the exact economic policy shifts from former President Biden's team, including affordability, explaining that it goes hand in hand with the illegal immigration calamity, all of course caused by Biden. And take-home pay for Americans, he said. You are going to have it booming compared to President Biden. Factory wages up $1,300, construction workers $1,800, mining worker wages is up by $3,300. Boom, boom, boom. Wow. Trump added one more epic fact about employment during the new administration. With every new job created happening in the private sector, 100% of all the new jobs created under his admin are in the private sector. Folks, that is huge. They talk about all these created jobs, and if they're just government jobs, they don't mean diddly squat. It's just your taxpayer money more being wasted. When 100% of the new jobs created are not government jobs, they are all in the private sector, that, my friends, is enormous, enormous news. He brought up the corruption of politicians, hurting Americans, hurting their welfare, including the Somali grift in Minnesota under the Democrat admin. Spoke about reverse migration, a lot of illegals self-deporting over the last year since he returned to office, which is a big boon for Americans looking for jobs, looking for homes. He also announced some news saying that all service members, as we just told you, will get this warrior dividend of 1776. And with an eye to the future, he talked about the U.S. World Cup competition. Fantastic. Great speech. Not what I was expecting, but brilliant speech, nevertheless. Absolutely brilliant. All right, chat's going crazy. What are we talking about? I was trying to listen with the kids, but I didn't. But he didn't mention mortgages going down, making buying houses more affordable for the younger generation, because I'd sure love a cheaper mortgage. You're right, he didn't. But what he did mention is that with all of these people either self-deporting or getting escorted out of the country, it is leaving a lot of homes and houses and rentals open. So I think in general, that's going to probably cause the prices to come down and, of course, the availability to go up. Wow. kids were jacked up on hot chocolate and candy canes, so I had trouble hearing. Oh, man. What a great, I haven't had candy canes in forever. Hot chocolate I'll have every now and then just as a treat. But there's no better Christmas thing than you take the candy cane and you stick it in the hot chocolate, gets that peppermint flavor with hot. Oh, all right, Jay, stop talking about that. You're gonna make yourself go obsessing again. It was supposed to be a smiley face, but it didn't work. Oh man! All right. Dan Bongino has confirmed. He has made it official in an X post, announces he will step down from the FBI, sends out gratitude to Trump, Kash Patel, and all of America. Deputy Director Bongino, former conservative commentator, of course, Secret Service agent Dan Bongino announced yesterday he's going to be stepping down from his current role as deputy director. He announced that on his official X account. Wednesday also, Trump was asked about this announcement, and he had this to say about Mr. B.
Dan did a great job. I think he wants to go back to his show.
That's a quick cut, but he said Dan did a great job, and I think he wants to go back to his show. Man, I hope so. When he accepted this FBI position, he was placed on Westwood One's network radio program. District Columbia commentator Vince Coglianese, or Coglianese, Vince's show is in the Dan Bongino slot. It is not exactly clear how easy it would be for Bongino to return to the airwaves, although the incredible amount of fame, recent high-profile history seems there's very little doubt that he will do exactly that. Early as last June, there were some rumors of Bongino's possible displeasure with his work at the FBI, rumors of a pending departure. That all turned out to be not true. Now, however, as I said, he has absolutely confirmed that with an official post on his official X profile. So he's had a bunch of misgivings apparently about this job since last July. He clashed with Pam Bondi over the handling of the Epstein files. He reportedly weighed in the idea about quitting at the time, and a lot of frustration with the lack of transparency. Now, all of this at this point is just rumor. We don't know exactly the details of what went on behind the scenes. What we do know for sure is he has announced his resignation, and he's done so as graciously as you would expect from Dan Bongino, and frankly, that's enough. We would simply thank Dan for his efforts, wish him success in whatever he decides to do after his departure, and wish him good luck. Hopefully, if we're lucky, he'll be right back here on this airwaves and right back in his regular 11 a.m. time slot, which is just after our show. So we would certainly welcome him back with open arms. I was a big fan previously, and I'm still a big fan. So, yeah, great, amazing Dan Bongino. Hopefully we will get him back. Something is not right with this shooting at Brown University. Something is just off. Former FBI criminal profiler has said exactly that. Something's not right about this Brown shooting investigation. He says, "To me, it's more than a coincidence that this young woman was killed who happened to be one of the few representatives of the Republican side of the House in that particular very far-left university." And folks, it is. Brown University is about as left as you can get left. Says, what the heck did the guy yell when he walked in the door? No one will release that information. You know what it probably was. If it comes out later, Brown University or the Providence PD is holding back what they said because it wasn't politically correct, well, that is going to be a really big problem. He was interviewed on Jesse Waters' show earlier.
Do you have a theory on this case? Was this a crime of opportunity? This was a soft target, guy goes in, comes out, and that's it, kind of mad at the school? Or was he going in there to kill a specific individual?
Yeah, in my earliest media hit on Monday morning, that's what I said. And as soon as I saw the name of Ms. Cook, who was the vice president of the Republican Club, I just couldn't rule that out. I look at this as a profiler. I've been on many task forces over the years, anthrax and the murder of a DEA agent, 2 professors murdered at Dartmouth College at their home. And we have to walk in with every single option. Was someone specifically targeted? And to me, it's more than a coincidence that this young woman was killed, who happens to be one of the few probably representatives of the Republican side of the House in that particular very far left university.
Exactly. Something smells, something stinks about this case. Is it possible that Brown University is protecting this suspect? Because they ain't talking about it much. That's for damn sure. Hang on just one second, because a little bit of a glitch here. So let's see if we can't call this up. The Brown University shooting, as you likely by this point know, resulted in 2 students dead, at least 8 wounded, and what has unfolded since the shooting took place almost now a week ago. What's it been, 5 days? It is a serious, focused manhunt? I don't think so. It's more like institutional panic and narrative control. A gunman opened fire in the engineering building Saturday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 days ago. No named suspect, only grainy images of a person of interest. The FBI's gotten involved, releasing enhanced video of the person of interest, offered up to $50,000 for information, agents going door to door looking for camera footage, repeated briefings. The lack of any solid leads is obvious, fueling suspicion that officials may very well be shielding a potential suspect. Officials from Brown City have held press conferences, but they've offered up nothing but evasive answers, frustrating you and I rather than reassuring the public. For example, police repeatedly refused to address reports the shooter shouted Allah Akbar, and that alone has raised doubts about the investigation's transparency, whether or not they're competent. And then Brown University's behavior itself, which has taken this story from a tragedy to deeply, deeply suspicious. Internet sleuths quickly noticed that Brown was quietly pulling down web pages connected to the student assistant Mustafa Karbouche, leaving a lot of people to wonder if there was a connection between pulling his web page information down and the investigation. Archived versions of those pages described Karbouche as a, here we go, queer Palestinian activist, a third-generation Palestinian refugee born and raised in Lebanon, a Free Palestine and LGBTQ activist with preferred pronouns that the university prominently displayed in their website. As of now, law enforcement has still refused to name him as a suspect. Officials keep repeating there are no suspects in the case. His digital life online is being, this Mustafa character, being completely wiped out. And Brown's explanation for this cleanup job, it just made it worse. The university put out a statement saying that a member of the campus community was dealing with harmful doxing activities and that it was not unusual to limit access to online information to protect someone's safety. We're not buying it. Reporters keep trying to get straight answers, officials' responses. It looks like a meltdown, frankly. Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Nerona snapped when asked about the removal of Karbush's profiles and scolded reporters that they were playing a dangerous game. That's an exact quote from him, instead of calmly explaining what Brown had done and why. I mean, let's face it, folks, the modern left has spent years weaponizing the identity of mass shooters in order to score political points, blasting every incident that fits the white right-wing narrative, burying anything that goes against it. At the same time, there has been a disturbing rise in these high-profile violent incidents tied to fringe elements of the left and the LGBTQLMNOP community, especially trans shooters. What the hell is up with that? The media complex rushes to memory hole the moment any inconvenient facts happen to come out. Oh, we don't talk about that. Now, whether Karbush is connected to this shooting remains to be seen. We don't know. At the very least, seems to be a rather unorthodox method by the school and authorities to protect this guy's identity while they are investigating. And the most significant threat they face is an unapproved narrative. That's what they're afraid of. Something weird is going on with this Brown shooting. Whether we will ever get to the bottom of it, anybody's guess. Sad, but true. I found this article and I thought it was so cool. It's a post on X from A. Gene Robinson. And I don't know if you've ever seen this guy. He runs a YouTube channel. It's called Fridays with Frank. He is I don't know if he's highway patrol, sheriff's office, whatever, but he is constantly uploading pictures of him arresting people he pulls over for speeding and traffic violations. It's a fascinating channel. I mean, if you like cops, it's kind of that without all the running around. But it's at AI Buffalo Tonight. And he says he just watched a video that explains everything about where we are today as a society. A kid flying a Mustang through a residential street, 50-mile-an-hour zone, and he's doing 121 miles an hour. Homes, driveways, kids, completely ignored. Could not possibly give a crap less. Gets pulled over, and this sheriff's deputy looks at him and says, "Your generation is lost. Am I wrong?" "You are not, Mr. Frank." It wasn't an insult. It was an observation, and a pretty accurate one at that. And this is what happens when feelings replace facts, when impulse replaces discipline, when consequences are treated like oppression instead of physics. Steel, the metal, steel, it doesn't care how you feel at 121 miles an hour. A pedestrian does not get a second chance because you were having a moment. Reality always collects its debts. These kids were not making decisions based on truth or responsibility. They're making decisions based on dopamine, validation, emotions. When a grown man who has scraped bodies off of asphalt for decades tells you something, like Deputy Frank, you should listen. Reality does not negotiate. It waits, and then it teaches. I want to play for you a little part of this insane traffic stop. Fridays with Frank on
I'll take that. I'll take your driver's license just so I know who you are. Thanks. Up and out. Awesome. Put your hands right up here. So right now you're under arrest. All right.
2 Charlie 33, code 20.
So, why in the name of God's green earth are you driving that fast? Turn right. Just lean right there.
Baker 23, 2 Charlie 33.
You have any idea what your top speed was?
120.
120. I think I locked you in at 121 or 122. You know what the speed limit on this road is?
I believe it's 55.
It's 50. So why are you driving more than double the speed limit on a 50-mile-an-hour road?
I was trying. I know it's not a perfect excuse for driving that high.
Well, there is no excuse. So saying that it's perfect, it's not a perfect excuse would mean that there is a perfect excuse, and there isn't one.
No.
Tom 16, I have one in custody.
I apologize.
Tom 16, 1605. Tom 20, 20 negative.
Okay.
Close 25, 2021.
No, you actually look exactly the way you do in your picture, too. Okay. Tom 16, we have posse units available in Charlie. Okay. So you're just totally okay with 120-something miles an hour in a 50? You're just like, that's a good idea.
Oh, no.
Tom 16, that's negative.
I was just trying to get home quick.
That's it. Just trying to get home.
Just trying to
Okay. You need to go to jail. That's what you need to do.
You need to go to jail. Nice job, Deputy Frank. But you see his just couldn't care less attitude from this kid? 121 miles an hour in a 50 zone. And just no consequence, no reality about the consequences of what he had to do or what could have happened. That generation, folks, I'm afraid to say, is lost. Lost. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Danny says they need to show real-life videos of crashes in driver's ed. Show grieving families like they have for drunk driving, small children who are taken. They need scare factors in schools. And you know, they used to do that. Not anymore. Can you imagine if you tried to even propose that to a school board this day and age? Oh no, we can't do that. The drama, the trauma. The kids would be so upset. That's the point, you morons. Scare the shit out of them so they won't do these stupid things. You are exactly right, Danny. My daughter said her driver's ed teacher is a super chill and doesn't care. That scares the living hell out of me, and so it's my job now to teach her. And there you go, a teacher that apparently just really doesn't care. Infested in every school across this country. Whatever the subject. Particularly when it comes to driver's ed, where you are putting that multi-ton trunk of flying steel in the hands of some untrained, I don't care, blasé 16, 17, 18-year-old. Did you see that car too? That was a Mustang. And how old is that kid? Maybe 20, 22 years old? Lost. Absolutely lost. Can they get it back? I doubt it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has been in the news for all the wrong and right reasons lately, has finally had her bill passed. Her bill was to outlaw transgender surgery for kids. Thank you. And guess how many Democrats voted against it? Well, the House of Representatives has successfully passed this bill, which is designed to protect our kids across the country from transgender procedures. Yesterday, major step forward in codifying one of President Trump's campaign promises. The bill, called Protect Children's Innocence Act, passed 216 to 211. 207 Democrats voting against the bill, 4 Republicans. Mike Lawler from New York, Brian Fitzpatrick, Pennsylvania, Mike Kennedy of Utah, and Gabe Evans of Colorado. 3 Democrats, Don Davis, North Carolina, Vicente Gonzalez of Texas, and Henry Cuellar of Texas, joined in with the Republicans, 213 of them, in supporting the legislation. The bill from Marjorie Taylor Greene would make performing transgender surgeries or procedures on minors a felony. Yes. Offenders would face a penalty of up to 10 years in federal prison, with fines on the table as well. This expands the definition of chemical castration and genital or bodily mutilation in the federal code to a variety of transgender chemical, surgical procedures, lays it all out there. It also provides exemptions for treatment of rare conditions and medical emergencies, of course. And there are no exemptions, however, for mental health-related issues. I feel like I'm a woman. Not cutting it anymore. Puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, all those treatments, as well as a bunch of surgical procedures, banned for use on children under federal law. Thank you. Left-wing activists, medical institutions have been targeting America's kids with dangerous drugs, disfiguring surgeries, irreversible permanent sterilization. All that's been going on. And Greene said, "My bill stops the mutilation of kids and holds those responsible for performing or facilitating these barbaric procedures accountable." Hallelujah. Yes, you're right, Marilyn. It still has to go through the Senate, which could be a bit of a problem, although hopefully not. We'll keep an eye on it. But it's a big, big step forward, a great step forward. So, good news. And I got more good news. Before we do that, though, we want to tell you about the folks at Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is one of our better sponsors on this show. We love these guys to death, and they are the only conservative Christian mobile service provider in the country that really walks the walk and talks the talk. Folks, when something goes viral, you can rest assured every Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to try and jump on the bandwagon, trying to pass themselves off as patriotic, conservative companies. Guess what? They're not. For more than 10 years now, Patriot Mobile has been America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They are right there with us in this fight. Patriot Mobile's been a great supporter of this show. They are the only cell phone service provider that's actually right there on the front lines defending our freedoms, First and Second Amendment, the right to life, religious freedom, supporting our military, first responders. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you are supporting a company that is defending free speech, the sanctity of life. All those things you and I believe in, they believe in them too. Making that switch is easy. They've got a bunch of different plans they can put you in. Work with their 100% U.S.-based customer service folks. They're there to help you. Switching is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Unlimited talk and text, U.S.-based support, coverage guarantee, same values you and I hold near and dear to our hearts and live every day. So does Patriot Mobile. The link is in our show notes. It's easy to remember, patriotmobile.com/J, J-A-Y. When you sign up using that link, you will get your first month free. Yep, your first month is paid for. I'm taking care of it for you. Your first month free. Get signed up using our link. Any questions? Maybe you're under contract now. You think you can't get out of it? Not true. Check out, talk to their customer service people. They have lots of ways over there to maybe even get you out of that contract and into a new one with a company that supports our values. patriotmobile.com/J. Thank you, Patriot Mobile, for keeping it real. Appreciate that. All right. Where are we going now? The National Guardsman who was shot, Andrew Wolf. The news just keeps getting better. He is now having a full conversation with people and doing incredibly well. U.S. Attorney Jean Pirro, Judge Jeannie, Judge Pirro, she says she visited him and he is doing great. This is her on Fox News.
Andy Wolf, who was shot, the National Guardsman.
Yes.
I visited him in the hospital yesterday. He's doing great. He's having conversations. It is amazing. He's been lifted up by the prayers of America.
Thank you for the update. That is a
You're
Fox
welcome.
News alert we are happy to bring to everyone. Thank you so much and Merry
Thanks,
Christmas.
Dana.
How about that? Wow. Fantastic news. God is good. Not expected at one point in this situation to even survive. And yet here he is. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Well, guess what San Francisco's doing? They are apparently now ready to apologize to Black residents and reparation advocates want more. Of course they do. San Francisco supervisors are planning to offer a formal apology to Black residents for decades of what they call racist laws and policies which were perpetrated by the city. They're planning a formal apology. Board of Supervisors scheduled to vote next Tuesday on a resolution apologizing to African Americans and their descendants. All 11 members have signed on as a sponsor, which pretty much guarantees it'll pass. And it would be one of the first major U.S. cities to do that. This resolution calls on San Francisco to not repeat the harmful policies and practices and to commit to making substantial ongoing systemic and programmatic investments in Black communities. There are about 46,000 Black residents in San Francisco. And Supervisor Shaman Walton, the only Black member of the board, said an apology from the city is very concrete and is not just symbolic, as admitting fault is a major step in making amends. Others say the apology is insufficient and they want more. Reverend Amos Brown, San Francisco Reparation Advisory Committee, said an apology is just cotton candy rhetoric. What we need is concrete action. Probably in the form of a check, right? Yeah. No action on any other proposals, although they're out there, including a proposal that every eligible Black adult get a $5 million lump sum cash payment and a guaranteed income of $100,000 a year to remedy San Francisco's deep racial wealth gap. $5 million lump sum and $100,000 a year. Mayor London Breed, who is Black, stated that she believes reparations should be handled at the national level. She is under a huge budget crunch right now, so that ain't going to help. Eliminated $4 million for a proposed reparations office and cuts this year. $5 million lump sum payment and $100,000 a year, just as a cherry on top. And I'm sorry, apologizing for what? Seriously? Danny says, the second you said San Francisco, I was already rolling my eyes. Yeah, you know what? I do that whenever I'm putting this show together, either Florida man, California, or San Francisco. And of course, lately also Minnesota. It's like, oh God, what is it this time? Unbelievable. Wow, look at this. Could this be the end of Keith Richards' memes? The Rolling Stones have canceled their 2026 tour. You've all seen the memes, I'm sure. We need to start worrying about what kind of world we're going to leave for Keith Richards. For every cigarette you smoke, God takes an hour from your life and gives it to Keith Richards. These are the daughters of Keith Richards. When they die, he will inherit everything. But now, the Stones have called off their 2026 tour. The reason why suggests that the indomitable Keith may not be quite as indestructible as we had all hoped. Vanity reporting just a couple of days ago that the Stones released their first album in 1964. Wow. Joe Biden was a student at the University of Delaware. Pelosi was just a year out of college. They've called off plans for their 2026 stadium tour of the UK and Europe. This appears to be related to physical difficulties that Keith Richards is suffering. Now, we make a lot of jokes. I wish him well. The man is an absolute concrete pillar. Cannot believe he's 82 years old today. Happy birthday, Keith Richards. He is only a year younger than old Joe Biden. Apparently, Richards is not able to commit to the rigors of another tour. Live dates in recent years have shown he's been facing a lot of challenges because of his battles with arthritis, which he called benign. Said it's forced him to change his style of playing. A lot of notes Richard was fine in performing during a brief 3-song performance at the Soho Sessions in New York last month. But 3 songs is a much different proposition than a multi-country, multi-week tour. So they've canceled it. Sun quoted an unnamed American music critic saying the Rolling Stones had all the big promoters throwing loads of ideas and dates at them for next summer, 2026. But when they properly sat down to discuss this tour, Keith Richards said he didn't think he could commit, and he wasn't keen. They properly sat down to discuss the tour. He said a big stadium tour for over 4 months just wasn't something he thought he could handle. Meanwhile, some other unnamed spokesperson for the band said the band were looking to tour earlier this year, but they couldn't make it work either. It's hard for their fans, but the Stones will get back on stage when they're good and ready. Interesting. Maybe they will, but the realities of old Father Time do not go away. They ultimately catch up with all of us, even Keith Richards. The Stones have toured nearly every year since the 2000s. That's 25 years plus. Increasingly small itineraries. Jagger, Ron Wood, Richard Jagger is 82, Ron Wood is 78, and of course Richards. The original drummer Charlie Watts passed away back in 2021, replaced by longtime Richards collaborator Steve Jordan. Would they go out without Keith Richards? It'd be like touring without Jagger. I'm not sure that would even be possible, but it just wouldn't be the Rolling Stones anymore. It's Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr doing a tour and calling themselves the Beatles. No, you're not. Looks as if finally time is running out for the Stones, and Keith Richards is not made of iron and everlasting. End of an era may very well be in sight, which is kind of sad. I was never a huge Stones fan, but their older stuff, love it. The age of rock and roll giants drawing to a close. There just are very, very few of these guys from way back when who are still around, not to mention still performing. No musical acts of any of them today even comes close to the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, Steppenwolf, Jethro Tull. All those amazing, the Stones, the Who. There's another group, the Who. Bob Dylan, whom I can't stand. Even Michael Jackson you'd have to include in that list, although he came along a bit later. End of an era. Mick and Keith, Paul and Ringo, when they finally passed from the scene altogether, some of the last elements of contemporary pop culture that bound nearly everybody together, at least with some sort of common frame of reference. The splintering up of the political sphere in recent years, mirroring in the splintering of the culture, instead of one American people, there are innumerable little groups of people here and there, each with their own heroes, their own cultural frame of reference, its own music, its own art. Groups like the Stones brought us all together. Yes, some people hated them, most people loved them, but groups like that just don't exist anymore. And when they're gone, there ain't nobody on the charts coming up behind them to replace them. It truly will be the end of an era. Danny says, I felt like this with the legendary Betty White. I thought she would live forever. She was just the best. Wasn't she, though? Exactly right. End of an era. And the end of our show for today. Thank you, folks. Thanks for popping by. Appreciate it. We will be back tomorrow for the Friday edition. And please do shop some of our sponsors, help to support the show. We appreciate that. Blackout Coffee, Patriot Mobile, all the good folks who help to sponsor this show. The list is right down there in those show notes. Most importantly, and free, is for you to follow the show or subscribe, whatever it may be, on whatever platform you're watching. We are live on X, Rumble, and with a little bit of an experiment going on, we're trying to get back out on YouTube and see what happens. It works some days it doesn't. I'm tired of thinking about it. So I'm going to go take a nap, and then I'm going to get started with the rest of my day. You do that too. See you tomorrow.